Welcome, friend. I'm James, your host, and today we're diving into another captivating episode. Grab a drink, get comfortable, and get ready for a powerful story that's sure to resonate. If something hits home, share your thoughts in the comments. Let's dive in.
I, 17, thought I found the one in LA, but my girlfriend, 16th, keeps lying and shattering my trust. What should I do? All right, grab some popcorn, because this saga is a roller coaster of emotions. 8 months ago, I found what I thought was a once-in-a-lifetime connection with this girl, Sophie, in the vibrant heart of Los Angeles. From the moment we met at a cozy coffee shop adorned with quirky art and buzzing with chatter, the air felt electric. It was one of those sunny afternoons where everything seemed to glow, and I was struck by her laughter, which echoed like music in the warmth of the California sun. Our conversations flowed effortlessly, covering everything from our wildest dreams to the mundane realities of teenage life. Each meeting felt like a new adventure, filled with the thrill of young love. We would spend hours strolling down Venice Beach, the salty air whipping around us as we shared stories and giggles, the world outside fading away. I genuinely thought I had finally found my person, someone who understood me, who I could share my world with. It felt as if we were the main characters in our own romantic movie, and the possibilities seemed endless. But as they say, every fairy tale has its dark side. Just as we were hitting our stride, the chaos of school hit me like a tidal wave. Exams, projects, and extracurriculars took over my life, drowning me in responsibilities that left little room for anything else. I remember those early mornings, the dawn barely breaking as I rolled out of bed at 5 a.m., groggy but determined, just to squeeze in a quick text to Sophie before rushing off to school. I'd grab a quick breakfast, usually just a granola bar, and dash out the door, my mind racing with thoughts of her. It was a balancing act, juggling academics and love, each day blending into the next as I tried to maintain our connection. But as the stress mounted, my late-night conversations turned into frantic, half-hearted messages. The deep connection we had built started to feel strained, and slowly, the laughter turned to silence. Sophie would reply with shorter texts, and I could feel the emotional distance creeping in. We kept it together for a while, no arguments, no fights, just a mutual understanding that the world was pulling us in different directions. The late-night phone calls became less frequent, and our meetups dwindled to the occasional weekend. I felt like I was losing her, but I didn't know how to bridge the gap, and it all began to unravel. At the 6-month mark, curiosity led me to download TikTok, seeking a distraction from the whirlwind of my life. Little did I know that this innocent decision would lead me down a dark path of heartache and betrayal. I eagerly followed Sophie, my heart pounding with anticipation to see her posts. I envisioned lighthearted videos of us or silly challenges that would remind me of our time together. But as I scrolled through her reposts, I stumbled upon a barrage of posts about her ex, 15 of them to be exact. Each post felt like a dagger to my heart, twisting deeper with every swipe. I couldn't comprehend how she could still be so attached to someone who had hurt her so deeply. Seeing captions filled with nostalgia and longing made me feel small and inadequate, as if I was merely a placeholder in her life while she still clung to memories of a past love. It was jarring to see her reminiscing about someone who had cheated on her, the one who had stolen her trust, while I was pouring my heart into our relationship. My chest felt heavy, a suffocating weight of jealousy and confusion. I felt lost in a whirlwind of emotions, unsure of where I stood in her heart. Each post was a reminder of a love that wasn't mine, and with every scroll, I felt the ground beneath me shift. Overwhelmed with feelings I couldn't articulate, I confronted her one evening after school. The sun was setting, casting a warm golden glow over my neighborhood, but inside I felt cold and lost. I could feel the tears welling up in my eyes, and I didn't care if it made me look weak. "Why would you post about him after everything?" I asked, my voice shaking with vulnerability. Her initial surprise morphed into confusion, and I could see the wheels turning in her mind. "It's not what you think," she said softly, her voice barely above a whisper, filled with an emotion I couldn't quite decipher. I wanted to believe her, but doubt loomed heavily in the air between us. She looked genuinely remorseful, explaining how isolated she felt during the times I was buried in my responsibilities. "You were always so busy, and I didn't know how to cope," she said, her eyes downcast. Her words tugged at my heartstrings, but I couldn't shake the unease that had settled in my gut. The truth seemed to slip away like sand through my fingers as I listened to her recount the pain of feeling abandoned, grappling with her emotions about her ex. It was difficult for me to understand. How could she still be so consumed by someone who had hurt her? I asked about him, where he went to school, what he was up to. But then I learned she had lied about that too. She told me she didn't want me to do anything stupid, and the weight of her deception felt suffocating. I wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt, but the cracks in my trust were beginning to show, and with every attempt to mend it, I could feel it splintering even more. As if the emotional turmoil wasn't enough, Sophie slowly opened up about her struggles with vaping and smoking weed. She revealed that these habits were her means of escaping from a world that felt too heavy to bear, an attempt to drown out the noise of her daily struggles, something I understood all too well from my own past. I could see the pain etched on her face as she spoke, her voice trembling as she shared her fears and vulnerabilities. "It's just easier, you know? To not feel anything," she admitted, her eyes glassy. My heart ached for her. Her vulnerability made me want to protect her even more, but I also knew I had to set boundaries. "If we are going to stay together, you have to quit," I said firmly, the weight of my words hanging in the air. I needed to protect myself, to shield my heart from the chaos that surrounded her. I wanted us to build a future together, but I knew that her habits could destroy everything we were trying to create. "Promise me you'll stop," I said, staring into her eyes, desperate for her to understand how much it hurt me to see her spiral. "I can't handle it if you don't." In that moment, I wanted nothing more than for her to realize the gravity of her situation, to choose a healthier path that would lead us both to a brighter future. She promised she would, and for a fleeting moment, I felt a flicker of hope ignite within me. Yet that hope was fragile, barely holding on. I wanted to believe that together we could overcome these obstacles, that our love would be strong enough to weather any storm. But this morning, my gut was screaming at me, echoing a warning that I couldn't ignore. There was something off in her demeanor, a subtle twitch in her voice that made my heart race with anxiety. "Are you still vaping?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady, the desperation leaking into my tone as my mind raced with scenarios. I wanted to assure her that honesty wouldn't push me away, but the fear clawed at my insides, tightening like a vice. When she hesitated, I knew something was wrong. "Yes," she admitted, her gaze dropping to the floor as if it held all the answers to my questions. My anger surged, a tempest of emotions raging inside me. I had been tricked again, left feeling foolish and betrayed. I wanted to scream at her, to confront her about the promises she had made, but instead, I felt the tears brimming, blurring my vision and turning my anger into profound hurt. It was a cruel twist of fate, feeling so deeply for someone while grappling with the pain of their choices. The urge to tell her parents was overwhelming, to drag her back from the edge of the cliff she was teetering on. My protective instincts kicked in, fueled by the love I felt for her. But after a few agonizing moments of begging, pleading, and promises that felt more like a desperate lullaby than a commitment, I forgave her once more. I told myself that love was about second chances, about standing by the ones we care for. But with each passing moment, the weight of her lies became heavier, pressing down on my chest until it felt like I could hardly breathe. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was losing myself in the process of trying to save her. The internal battle raged on. Was I being foolish for wanting to believe in her, or was I showing strength by choosing compassion? I didn't know anymore, but the uncertainty gnawed at me, leaving me feeling both anxious and defeated. But here's the kicker. My trust is hanging by a thread, frayed and battered. I can't help but wonder if she was talking to someone else while I was busy with my life. She's stunning, a magnet for attention, and I often find myself replaying moments in my mind, second-guessing her every action. Did she feel alone during those long hours when I was preoccupied? Every second she didn't reach out felt like a dagger twisting deeper into my heart. I thought love was enough to shield me from the insecurities gnawing at my insides, but now I'm left questioning everything. With each passing day, I find myself trapped in a cycle of doubt and heartache, and I'm not sure how much longer I can endure it. The very idea of her potentially being unfaithful plays on repeat in my mind, like a song I can't escape, and it's driving me to the brink. I want to trust her. I want to believe in the love we shared, but the weight of her lies has created a barrier I'm not sure can ever be broken down again. Every time she swore to God she was telling the truth, a small part of me wanted to believe her, but I couldn't ignore the lies that felt like a noose around my heart. It's one thing to love someone, but it's another to feel like you're losing yourself in the process. I'm terrified of what might happen if I pursue this relationship further. If she could lie about something as simple as vaping, could she lie about cheating? The thought sends shivers down my spine. I don't want to play the role of the paranoid boyfriend, but every instinct in me screams that I need to protect myself. I've heard countless stories of people getting hurt because they ignored the signs, and I refuse to let myself fall into that trap. The fear of betrayal looms over me like a dark cloud, casting a shadow on our once bright relationship. As I try to navigate this emotional minefield, I find myself questioning not just Sophie, but my own judgment. Was I too trusting? Did I ignore the warning signs because I was blinded by love? I reminisce about our good times, the laughter we shared, the late-night talks filled with dreams and aspirations. But now those memories feel tainted, marred by the reality of her deception. I often find myself scrolling through her social media, looking for clues, wondering if there are hidden meanings behind her posts. Every like, every comment from another guy makes my heart race with jealousy and suspicion. I try to focus on my own life, hanging out with friends, throwing myself into schoolwork, but no matter what I do, the feeling of unease remains. As I wrestle with these thoughts, I can't help but feel the emotional toll this is taking on me. The pressure of keeping up appearances weighs heavily. I don't want my friends to see me as the guy who can't handle his relationship. Just give her time, they say. You two are young, it's just a phase. But they don't see the turmoil brewing beneath the surface. I feel isolated, as if I'm the only one carrying this burden. I wish I could talk to someone who truly understands what I'm going through, but I fear judgment or pity from those who can't grasp the depth of my feelings. I often fantasize about how things could be different. What if I confronted Sophie about everything, laid all my cards on the table? Would she finally open up, or would it push her away for good? The idea of losing her terrifies me, yet the thought of staying in a relationship built on shaky foundations feels even worse. I dream of a love that's built on trust and mutual respect, one where both partners uplift each other instead of creating doubt. But with every lie, every broken promise, I feel like we're moving further from that ideal. So Reddit, what do I do? Do I give her one last chance, hoping that she can prove she's worthy of my trust? I want to believe that love can conquer all, that we can rebuild what's been broken. But what if I'm just setting myself up for more heartbreak? Or do I cut my losses and walk away, saving myself from a future of pain and distrust? It's a decision that weighs heavily on my heart. I genuinely love this girl, but I can't keep ignoring the red flags that loom like storm clouds over my head. The fear of making the wrong choice paralyzes me. Help me navigate this mess before I lose myself completely. My girlfriend has broken my trust multiple times, lying about her past and her habits, even swearing to God she was honest. Now, I'm questioning her loyalty, and I need advice on how to move forward. Do I confront her again, or should I walk away to protect my heart?